The Diesel Brothers empire, which used to be a huge deal on TV and in the truck world, was being sold piece by piece. Heavy D stood in his giant shop in Utah with millions of dollars worth of custom trucks and big equipment all around him and told everyone he was selling it all. Fans couldn't believe it. People started talking and making guesses. Did being famous and having lots of money finally ruin the friendship that the show was all about? For the first time ever, the real story about what happened is coming out. And the truth is way more complicated and crazy than anyone thought. A business empire up for sale. It all started with a video that shocked everyone in the truck community. Dave Sparks, who everyone calls Heavy D, said he was having a huge garage sale at his shop called Sparks Motors. This wasn't just any normal sale. He said everything had to be sold, even his personal stuff that he promised he'd never sell. He sort of explained that big changes were happening to the business and he needed to clear out room. But fans who watched the video saw that something wasn't right. Heavy D's body movements didn't look like a confident business owner making a brave new choice. People watching said he looked really nervous, worried and shaky. This wasn't the bold and fearless leader they'd watched for years on the Discovery Channel. This looked like a man who was really stressed out. People started wondering what was actually happening. Was his business failing? Was he getting divorced and having to sell his stuff? The questions kept piling up, but nobody could find real answers. Then things got even weirder. Right when the huge sale was about to start, it suddenly got delayed. The reason they gave was just as unclear as the first announcement. An official message blamed a mysterious group of people who wanted to see them fail, making it seem like enemies from outside were trying to wreck their success. But this story didn't make sense. The real truth was hidden in court papers, and it showed a much scarier picture. The sale wasn't stopped by haters or business competitors. It was stopped by a judge. A court order was given that clearly said Heavy D couldn't transfer or move any of his stuff, whether it was his business property or personal belongings. The reason was simple and really bad. He still owed millions of dollars in fines from old lawsuits, and the court wasn't going to let him sell his stuff before those debts were paid. The garage sale wasn't the start of the Diesel Brothers' problems. It was the explosive result of years of legal battles fought in two different directions. These weren't small fights. These were multi-million-dollar wars that could destroy everything they had built. The first war was against what they were known for. The Diesel Brothers became famous for building huge, powerful trucks that often had giant clouds of black smoke coming from the exhaust pipes. This thing called rolling coal was in 2016 a group called Utah Physicians for a Healthy Environment, or UPHE, decided to fight back. They filed a lawsuit against the Diesel Brothers for breaking the Federal Clean Air Act. The doctors said that the Diesel Brothers were illegally taking off pollution control equipment from their trucks. This made the vehicles look tough on camera, but it also turned them into what the doctors called disease-creating machines. A truck modified by the Diesel Brothers could make over 30 times more harmful pollution than a normal truck. The doctors group even bought one of the Diesel Brothers' trucks and had it tested. The results were shocking. It let out 36 times more pollution and 21 times more particulate matter than a regular truck. The lawsuit specifically named Heavy D, Diesel Dave, and two other important members of the crew, Caton Hoskins and Joshua Stewart. The legal battle went on for years. The Diesel Brothers said they were just building trucks for fun and didn't really understand how it affected air quality, but the court didn't agree. Michigan found them guilty of hundreds of violations of the Clean Air Act. The appeals court later said their actions were flagrant misconduct. The money blow was huge. They got hit with an initial fine of over $850,000. On top of that, they were told to pay the doctors' legal fees, which added almost another $1 million to the bill. In total, their signature style of rolling coal cost them nearly $2 million. But as bad as that was, the second war was even bigger. While they were fighting the doctors about pollution, they were also being sued by a global fashion giant. The Italian clothing brand, Diesel SPA, filed a massive lawsuit against them for trademark infringement. The fashion company said that the Diesel Brothers were illegally using the word diesel in their company names like Diesel Power Gear and diesel sellers, and on all their stuff. One really obvious example was a shirt that said Diesel AF in a red box, which looked almost exactly like the fashion brand's famous logo. This was a direct attack on how they made money. The TV show made them famous, but they made a fortune selling clothes and gear. Xiaomi found that the Diesel brothers had ignored cease and desist letters from the fashion brand and kept selling their merchandise. They had made nearly $60 million in net sales from products that the court said were confusingly similar to the fashion brand's products. The judge found that their infringement was willful, meaning they knew what they were doing was wrong. The final judgment was a knockout blow. The Diesel brothers were ordered to pay an incredible $11.8 million in damages. Their fame had become a double-edged sword. Being on television made them rich and famous, but it also painted a giant target on their backs. Smaller shops might get away with modifying trucks or using a common name, but the Diesel brothers were doing it in front of millions of people on the Discovery Channel. They were the biggest and most visible players in the game, which made them the biggest and most obvious targets for lawsuits. Their celebrity status, the exact thing that built their empire, was now the reason it was all falling apart. But before the lawsuits, before the fame, and before the millions of dollars, there was just a friendship. Immigration. Semantics. To understand how things went so wrong, you have to go back to a time when things were much simpler. Before the TV show and the multi-million-dollar lawsuits, there were just two guys named Dave Sparks and Dave Kiley. They weren't actually brothers, but their friendship was just as strong. Their story started about 10 years ago at a church event for young single adults. They were supposed to go there to meet girls, but as they later joked, they found each other instead. His life. A memory from when he was 7 years old stuck with him forever. He and his brothers and sisters had saved up money for a trampoline, but one day the money was gone. His mother explained she had to use it to buy groceries. In that moment, he decided he would never let his own family go through that kind of pain. From a young age, Heavy D was obsessed with anything that had an engine. He studied car mechanics and welding in high school and later started his own small excavation business operating heavy equipment. In 2008, he needed help, so he hired his best friend, Diesel Dave, as his very first employee. This was the official start of their partnership. Diesel Dave also had a unique story. He was born in Texas and moved around a lot as a kid because his father worked on military bases. He later served a 2-year mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Portugal, where he learned to speak Portuguese really well. When he came back, he was working random jobs with no real direction before Heavy D called him up to come work with him again. Together, they started a small used car lot and a website called dieselsellers.com, which would become the world's largest marketplace for diesel trucks. They started posting videos of their work on YouTube. But these weren't boring repair videos and incredible custom truck builds. Their energy and passion were contagious, and their videos quickly went viral. Their online fame caught the attention of Jay Leno, who showed one of their clips on his show. Soon after, the Discovery Channel came calling, and in 2016, the show Diesel Brothers premiered. The men behind the beards. While Heavy D and Diesel Dave were the faces of the show, the crew was much bigger. Two other key members, Caton Hoskins and Joshua Stewart, were really important parts of the team and were also named in the pollution lawsuit. Caton Hoskins, known as the Muscle, was the master at finding rare parts. He had been friends with Diesel Dave since the 8th grade and came from a family of diesel fanatics. But beyond the shop, Hoskins was a serial entrepreneur. By his mid-30s, he had started and run over 22 different companies, including gyms, a dental office, a plastic surgery clinic, and an apparel company. He built an 8-figure business empire, all while being a devoted husband and father to 4 daughters. His personal motto is that anyone can be limitless. He even started a coaching program called the Limitless Society to help others reach their goals. Joshua Stewart, or Redbeard, was the quiet money man of the operation. He grew up on a Native American reservation in Utah, which gave him a deep sense of connection to nature and spirituality. He believed that working for someone else was not secure, which fueled his drive to be an entrepreneur. While he was a key part of building the Diesel Sellers brand, his presence on the show began to fade over time. His quiet departure left many fans wondering what happened, but no official reason was ever given. He seemed to prefer a more private life, focusing on his family, new business projects, and his passion for jiu-jitsu. Life on the show. The show was a massive hit because it was more than just building trucks. It was about a group of friends having fun, pulling crazy pranks, and attempting unbelievable stunts. The pranks were legendary, from snatching a friend's truck with a tow truck to faking putting diesel fuel in a gas car. The stunts were even bigger. In one of the most memorable moments, Heavy D planned to jump his monster truck, the Brodozer, over a flying airplane on live television. Their creativity was best seen in their incredible builds. They turned a rusty 1948 Willys Jeep into a modern monster. In the very first episode, they built Hercules, a massive Chevy truck lifted 11 feet tall on giant Axletech axles. They created the Mega Ram Runner from a Dodge Ram 3500, stretching the cab to a crazy length and lifting it almost 28 inches off the ground. They even built a somersault truck, a vehicle with a special egg-shaped cage designed to do a full forward flip. These weren't just trucks, they were works of art that pushed the limits of what was possible. But with the fame came more began to build a story that the fun-loving guys on TV might be more reckless than they appeared. The real breakup. With millions of dollars in fines piling up from 2 different lawsuits, many fans thought the huge pressure would tear the friendship between Heavy D and Diesel Dave apart. It's a classic story in the celebrity world. Money and legal troubles often destroy even the strongest bonds. But the real breakup that happened was not between the 2 Daves. The true split was between the Diesel brothers and the Discovery Channel. The end of their hit TV show in 2023 was not a cancellation. It was a choice. After years of fighting in court, Heavy D finally told Discovery that he and his team were done. The reason was simple. The lawsuits had changed everything. The fun, freedom, and creativity that had defined their show were gone, replaced by fear and constant legal oversight. The Clean Air Act lawsuit had made Discovery's lawyers really nervous. Every episode had to be watched and approved by a legal team to make sure nothing on screen could lead to another fine. The days of crazy rule-breaking builds were over. Blair, the show that was built on a rebellious image, was now being forced to play it safe. Fans noticed the change right away. The builds were less exciting, and the episodes started to feel different, more controlled. The final straw came in 2021. The team had filmed an entire episode that had to be completely thrown out and thrown away. The reason was that it showed an exhaust modification that the legal team thought looked illegal. They weren't even sure if it was actually against the law, but the possibility alone was enough to kill the whole episode. For Heavy D, this was a creative prison. The very thing that made their show special, pushing the limits and building incredible machines, was now forbidden. The lawsuit's greatest victim was not their bank account, it was their creativity. The constant threat of legal action had a chilling effect on the entire production, sucking the life out of the show from the inside out. They were faced with an impossible choice. They could either continue to make a watered-down, boring version of their show for the network, or they could walk away and reclaim their freedom. For Heavy D and his crew, the choice was clear. They chose freedom. Themure, it was an escape. The Brotherhood had survived the storm, but their television show had not. The financial fallout. The legal battles came at a huge cost. The final bill for the Clean Air Act lawsuit was around $850,000 in fines, plus nearly another $1 million in the doctor's legal fees, bringing the total to almost $2 million. The trademark lawsuit was even more devastating, with a final judgment of $11.8 million. Combined, the crew was on the hook for well over $13 million. During the pollution lawsuit, the doctors group argued that Heavy D was far from broke. They showed evidence that he had deep assets not shown on his personal tax returns. They pointed out that he owned a helicopter and 2 planes, was building a 7,500 square foot home, and had ownership in 13 different companies. They claimed he represented himself as a multi-millionaire who could turn a $75,000 ad spend into $750,000 in revenue in a single month. The Diesel brothers' lawyers argued that such massive penalties would devastate their businesses and force them into bankruptcy. But the court did not fully agree. The judge made it clear that the fines could not be avoided or discharged in bankruptcy, ensuring the debt would follow them no matter what. This crushing financial weight was the real reason for the Everything Must Go garage sale. After the fall, the show was over. The shop was nearly sold off. The Diesel brothers, as the world knew them, were gone. So, they could be themselves again. They could be more authentic, showing the real day-to-day work of their shop without a team of lawyers looking over their shoulders. They were free to build what they wanted, how they wanted. Heavy D in particular has made a surprising and strategic change. He is now the CEO of Sparks Motors and has started a new company. This new business is focused on from highly elements to the motors. This new business is focused on the future of hydrogen and electric off-road vehicles. In a move full of irony, the man who was fined millions for polluting the air is now trying to build a new legacy in the world of zero-emissions vehicles. The centerpiece of this new mission is the Nikola Badger, an electric and hydrogen-powered pickup truck. The project was abandoned by its original company, Nikola, after its founder was convicted of fraud. But Heavy D bought the rights and has announced his intention to finish what they started and bring the truck to market. It is a bold move and a clear attempt to fix his brand. The man famous for rolling coal is now betting his future on clean energy. Diesel Dave, meanwhile, has taken a different but equally important path. While still building trucks, he has also become an ambassador for skilled trades. He and Heavy D have formed a new partnership with Wyotech, a technical college, to inspire the next generation of mechanics and builders. Diesel Dave, the fun-loving personality of the show, is now focused on education and mentorship. The crisis they faced did not break them, it forced them to change and grow. The destruction of their single TV brand pushed them.